Welcome back to Retail Therapy on the Sunday Scaries podcast feed. My name's Will DeFries. Barrett, how we doing today?
I'm doing okay. Mostly good, just a little bit confused because last week I signed up and told Ticketmaster that I would like some Taylor Swift tickets for next fall of 2024, where there are more release dates. You know, there are new tour dates, new cities. It's all happening again, and I was supposed to get an email today, saying that here are your Taylor Swift tickets. I even gave them a couple options for dates. I said I'm flexible. I'll go on this one or that one, and I haven't gotten anything yet. I have not gotten my link to purchase my Taylor Swift tickets. So
that's weird.
It's just really, it's a strange thing, and I just, I'd like to have my Taylor Swift tickets now, please. Thank you.
I can believe she's adding tour dates. I also can't believe she's adding tour dates because I feel like we've been in the Eras tour for what's longer than an era at this point. Like this has been an insane tour. I feel like when I saw her, which granted, I did see her very early in the Eras tour. I feel like it was a year ago, and I know it wasn't, but it just feels like forever. And I'm glad that everyone's going to get to enjoy the Eras tour as much as I did. I'm glad that.
Well, maybe not because I'm not. They're not. I'm not getting my email here.
Why don't you just find your brother-in-law's sketchy friend who bought tickets through Ticketmaster, and then why don't you lowball him for the tickets, hoping that he'll go for it out of guilt, and then you get them, and then you go to the concert.
I'm open to any opportunities, so I just need to check in with my future brother-in-law to see if he has any sketchy or shady friends that have access to tickets.
All I'm saying is that it works for me.
It did make me think. It made me think of a question. How long do you think she could go on this tour and continue giving billions to the economy and selling out stadiums for days and days in a row?
There's no limit.
You think there has to be a limit? There has to be a spot. No changes to the tour, just as it is. But the 3-hour show, she's going to do 45 songs. The stuff, but nothing else about it changes. She just continues touring the globe. City after city, 4 or 5 nights in a row in every city. Like how long do you think she could go?
I think she could go 4 years, 5 years, because even if the greater, yearning for it went away, that means prices come down, and that means that suddenly people like me who have already gone are going again. Like I'm not going to travel a crazy amount of time to go see the tour, but if she's coming through my hometown and I'm doing it, then let's roll.
Yeah, and she's already set you up with the expectation that it's like $1,500 a ticket. So suddenly like $500 a ticket, which is still astronomical for a concert. So it feels very reasonable, Well, so yeah, it's look, when all of this started, when the Eras tour started, I felt kind of crazy being like, I don't think anything like this has ever happened before. But now I keep hearing that refrain, like that this is like nothing like this has ever happened before in the world of concerts. Like this is the biggest show of all time, point blank period. It's not really close. And so I feel a little bit vindicated for blowing the horn early and being like, this is unprecedented.
I don't really understand why she doesn't just go the same way that like Deadheads did, where she just tours constantly and just has people follow her around, and she just switches it up every night, and she can sustain this for decades on decades on decades. Like, I mean, the formula's there for touring. Just make it happen.
I don't know if Love Story lends itself to as many changes in arrangement as Dead & Co songs do.
Do you want a rebuttal to this? Yeah. All Too Well 10-minute version. If you're telling me that we wouldn't do blanks, there are so many Swifties out there that would love a 23-minute version of Blank Space.
That's okay. Yeah, you're right.
Give me Folklore, like maybe an acoustic set for a little bit, and then we can just do a second set of just some 23-minute long versions of some songs. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'll keep y'all updated on whether or not that email ever comes through.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know.
In the meantime,
is that the new Masters tickets email?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It really is. I'm not sure which is harder at this point. I'm excited for today's episode, though.
Well, before we get into today's episode, or at least the really good stuff of today's episode, let's get some official business out of the way. First and foremost, please go follow Retail Therapy at retail.pod on Instagram. That's probably the best place you can get your updates. If you're looking for all the information that we talk about on these episodes, whether it's links, whether it's wish list items, whether it's articles links to articles that we've talked about, whatever it may be, You can go sign up for the newsletter. There's a link to the Substack in the description of this episode. And we send out something on every single release day that has, or maybe the day after. You never know. You never know. It might be the day after. With just everything you need to know. It's just our little kind of guide to everything retail therapy that week. Just go make it happen. And finally, you can watch all these episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/SundayScaries podcast. It's a very good way to take these episodes in, especially given that Barrett is essentially like just a really skilled DJ with his operating of the screen whenever we're talking about certain items or certain things.
Yeah, sometimes I manage to get the job done. But also, don't you just want to see us, you know?
True. I think they'd rather see like the fits,
the product,
the Johns,
the Johns. Yeah. Okay.
And before we really talk about anything, I do think that maybe we need to confront something.
Okay.
It's very rare. The most controversy we've seen up until this point has been when someone on this podcast said that dirty martinis and oysters were out. This past week, though, we saw some more controversy marring the podcast. It really had to do with girl dinners. And we know about algorithms. We're very familiar with how these things work. And sometimes your videos, they hit an algorithm and you just don't know what's going to happen. Well, we hit an algorithm that we haven't hit before with retail therapy. And this was talking about girl dinners. And a lot of people were not happy with our portrayal of girl dinners, Barrett. Do you have any thoughts on this? Do you think we need to feel bad or apologize?
Okay. I've got a couple of thoughts here.
Okay.
The first one is that I feel like Instagram is figuring out the TikTok thing where they take a video and they're like, oh, we're putting you in the vortex. And they throw you into the specific algorithm that's going to generate what they think is the most buzz and the most engagement on your videos. Because this happens on OCC quite often, where we'll say that we thought Mission Impossible 7 was just all right. And then like suddenly that video on TikTok has hundreds of comments from the Tom Cruise hive just like railing against us, even though they definitely have no idea who we are.
The cruise missiles?
They definitely don't know that we have a podcast. They definitely have never seen our face. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's teed up for the right people to come engage on the post in a way that maybe you wish they wouldn't. Okay. Having said that, I will say that when I saw this reel of us clipped together, I didn't think any of the imagery was very representative of girl dinner.
Okay, that's fair.
So I before we even got caught in the wave, it's either like a mess on the kitchen counter that we show, or it's a charcuterie board. So I didn't. That is one thing that maybe people bristled at, is that we didn't do a great job of actually showing what girls are saying girl dinner is.
I got the feeling.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. That's very valid. That's very valid. I admittedly, and I hate that I'm about to say what I'm about to say, I deleted some comments out of stress.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw some people getting very hate-fueled. And whenever I see hate-fueled comments, part of me clamps up a little bit.
Is that because we were being accused of mansplaining?
We were being accused of mansplaining.
Yeah. Well, we are men and we were trying to explain something. So that's fair. It's a fair accusation, I guess.
It's tough. I'm never going to, I don't tell people like how to identify or anything like that. I am a straight white male. And I think that sometimes some of the things that we talk about, we might get some assumptions thrown our way because of how we identify.
Yeah.
To anyone out there who feels as though we mansplain girl dinner, I apologize. I really hope that we can all eat girl dinners or boy dinners without shame and without plates. And so to anyone out there who was offended by girl dinners, all I have to say is I see you. I do not apologize. But we will move forward, maybe trying to make some imagery better, and maybe just trying to overall just enjoy our girl dinners.
Yeah, and I think that's the big takeaway. Everybody can enjoy girl dinner or boy dinner however they want. You know what I mean? Like there's no right way to do it. The problem is we're sitting here, we're facing this head on, and yet nobody that made a comment is listening to this podcast.
I know, that's the hard part.
Because if they had, they would know that our conversation was far longer and more nuanced than the 1 minute clip that we're able to put out on social platforms.
I like drawing conclusions from less than a minute of audio, and I like raining on people's enjoyment of things immediately online. That's what I do, and that's how I do it.
Yeah. But man, girl dinner was wild. Like a week after we recorded this, I was like catching up on some podcasts that I listened to.
Dude.
And like What?
Part of what's insane about the algorithm is that people are like, "Oh my God, you're so late on this," and it's like, "Well, we're not. It's just that you haven't heard this. It's just that you're seeing this clip like a week and a half later,
Right?
And that's going to be hard for you. That's going to be tough."
Yes. Yeah. This podcast like took the first 10 minutes to cover girl dinner. It's not a pop culture or lifestyle podcast. So the fire that girl dinner caught was that was something, because everybody was covering girl dinner, which I think everybody, like, the opinions just were really flying about it because it just really,
I like girls.
it
I like
permeated
dinner.
the culture.
I like girl dinners. I like anyone that participates in girl dinners.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
I had to make breakfast for dinner last night because the salmon that I bought from Central Market, I'm putting you on blast, Central Market, it was rank. And we had to audible, and I suggested girl dinner, but I ended up making breakfast for dinner instead. So
I had salmon from Central Market for dinner last night. What location did you hit?
the one right by my house, the Westgate location.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you go up north?
I was up north.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes me feel better. There was a part of me last night that was like, is this salmon a little weird?
Did you go wild caught, or did you go like Verlasso, like something farmed?
I'll be honest, I don't know what Sally bought. Usually she hits that wild caught because she knows that I like, ever since going Pesco, she knows that I've become like a little bit of a snob.
Yes.
She also knows that I don't like eating seafood on Mondays because I think that it's leftover from the weekend. And so I almost feel like there's more pressure for her to get the wild caught.
Man, that's a great point though. Like, maybe that's what happened to me, because I did buy it on Sunday, cooked it Monday. It could have been just the remnants of the Sunday, of the weekend haul.
They doubled up our order because we did a grocery order on the tarmac while we got in from our trip. And they doubled up our order, and Sally did something I'm not a fan of.
What's that?
She put the extra salmon in a stasher bag, and she froze it.
Okay.
And so now I'm never gonna be able to look at that stasher bag again without being like, man, that thing smells like salmon on the inside. It's just tough.
Yeah.
I love stasher bags, but like I think like overall, like they're so net positive, but there's something about just knowing like, ooh, there was something moldy in there at some point. And I'm not sure how well this got cleaned because I was the one cleaning it, and I'm not very good at cleaning stuff sometimes.
Yeah, that's it's probably one of my toxic traits, Like I compost like crazy, recycle literally everything I can, but I'm out here using Ziplocs left and right. Yeah.
Ever since I saw an article the other day that said that if you are vegetarian, that you've already reduced your carbon footprint by over 75% compared to people that do eat meat. And I wish I didn't know that because like now I have this like air about me where I feel superior to everybody. Just like, oh, my carbon footprint is nowhere near what yours is.
You're just out here using single plastics like crazy because you know that your carbon footprint is already so low.
Yeah. Like when
you have the freedom to do that.
When I'm on Toast tab and I'm checking out, I select, yes, I do want plasticware, and then I just throw it away.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fucking bad boy.
That's baller shit.
Today's podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing and growing your brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. I absolutely love Squarespace. It's so easy. All you have to do is go sign up, and it kicks you into their back end, and all you have to do is just hang out, explore. You can choose a template to go off of. You can edit that template so easily, from fonts to colors to size to anything. I mean, there are so many different customizations that you can make without having to know how to code, without having to know how to do anything. That is just simple and straightforward. I have no web design prowess, or I didn't, at least when I started to use Squarespace, and I created a website that has launched me into what I do for a career today. There are so many use cases for it, whether you're just collecting emails for email blasts, whether you're selling products, whether you're blogging, whether you're doing whatever, just trying to portray your business in a beautiful or responsible way. Squarespace, it's the way to do it. I ride for them about as hard as I'll ride for any company. I would do this ad read for free if they asked me to.
Wow, that's big of you.
Like, please don't ask me to do that, Squarespace. Like, I enjoy our relationship, but if you want me to do it, I'll do a make good at some point. I love Squarespace.
They are the best. It's the most intuitive. It's the easiest to use. It's the prettiest. You don't need to go anywhere else.
It's just simple. Go make it happen. Whether you want to send out those emails or blog or whatever, Squarespace is the one. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/scaries to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/scaries for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Barrett, we got a quick hitter real quick. I'm a little annoyed. I like Grub Street overall as a website.
Yeah.
I think they've got some interesting articles. But they came at something recently that I've seen a lot of people coming at, and I just need to get your take because I feel like you can keep me in check an appropriate amount.
Okay. All right.
What I'm going to ask you is this in or out? Burrata.
All right. So full disclosure, I tried to bump this off of the list today.
I made you do it.
Yeah, but here we are. It's very, I had a feeling you might, that you might push back on it because it does feel very retail therapy. The whole, this is right in our lane. I'm
a Burrata boy, Barrett.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm not. I never order burrata. I don't care about burrata.
Okay.
Like I like a mozzarella, like I like cheese, but I just I don't choose burrata off of a menu.
This is fair. I'm not going to tell you not to, but I'm going to ask you a question that I'm too scared to ask in the moment at a restaurant because I don't want to derail the vibes at a group dinner.
Okay.
Why don't you like burrata? Too soupy?
Yeah, I mostly just don't want I don't know. It's usually low on my list for as far as appetizers. I'd rather have something with like a little bit of protein, or I'd rather go maybe seafood with it, with like shrimp or oysters, or I'd rather get something like I don't know, like if you're Italian, I'm looking more at like a calamari, or something like that.
Okay.
Like I don't know. It's just here's the thing. Generally the only place that I allow a massive amount of cheese to come before my meal, which will most likely also have a shitload of cheese, is at a Tex-Mex restaurant.
Yeah.
But like if I'm going to an Italian food place and I'm going to get a pizza or like a pasta with meat and cheese, I generally don't want to order like the bruschetta before that.
I get it.
So sometimes that's what burrata kind of feels like to me.
Okay. Okay. I'm not here to champion burrata. I'm not here to convince anyone that they need to start loving it because I've been conflicted solely by people's reactions when I pitch burrata. And now I have some clarity around that. I will say that even though I ride for burrata, based on the vibes just in general, which we know are constantly shifting.
They are, yeah. We do know that.
I do think it's certified out right now.
So, okay.
I haven't seen someone that wasn't me order burrata in months, if not years.
Let me piggyback on that because let's hark back to, I don't know, 2015 or 16 when a small Instagram account was gaining steam by the name of The Fat Jewish. He was constantly talking about getting burrata at restaurants.
Don't tell me that.
And that,
all right, fuck
and
burrata.
That was like 7 years.
Hey,
ago.
burrata, not into it.
And one of the things that the Grub Street article calls out is basically that this is just like overstayed its welcome as like the appetizer du jour.
Okay,
and it kind of compares it to like a kale Caesar, which is basically on, you just throw a dart and you'll hit a menu with a kale Caesar on it. That's kind of what they're calling out here a little bit too. Was my read?
I can't jump on the kale Caesar hate train because that's something that Sally makes like almost weekly. And I'm not saying I'm tired of it, but like
that's a sign of its ubiquity that we're at home making kale Caesars.
Yeah,
I
mean, most of the time I'd rather have a kale Caesar with some salmon or some shrimp on it than like a girl dinner. But
it's
like
a great dish.
Lately, I've been skewing. I'd rather go girl dinner than kale Caesar.
Yeah. Well, as long as you don't, jump on this podcast and start telling people what girl dinner is, then you should be okay.
I'm just sorry. I'm like a little bit mourning the death of burrata. Like. It's weird because
if we go out to a restaurant and you order this, I'm sure I'm gonna have a good time. It's probably great.
No. Everyone afterwards gonna be texting in some side chat, being like, "Dude, I can't believe Will's still ordering burrata like a dork." Like he is so 2016. He's so pre-pandemic. What's his problem?
Yeah. Okay. Well, now that you've said that, I probably will start a side chat, a side group text if you order burrata.
I just can't ride for things that the Fat Jewish is like standing because like it's just he and I are just on different waves right now.
Like, do you remember when he and Emily Ratajkowski came out with like Babe Rosé?
Yes. Do you remember when he was like the witness at her wedding to like that dude to like whatever Sylvester or whatever his name was?
How could I forget, man? It's a seminal moment in pop culture history.
I actually thought it was great they got married in a courthouse. Because she could have gone full like Sophia Richie and had like the most aesthetic, crazy wedding that she wanted, whatever. And I kind of respect that she just went New York courthouse. Yeah. Calling it.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about burrata. We can bump that. It is time. So we need to talk very quickly about some aesthetic.
Yeah.
This week's aesthetic that we're going to discuss is Darkroom-core. I had never heard of this before, but the second you see a photo of it, you're like, okay, this makes sense. Darkroom-core is essentially just what you would think. It looks like you're in a dark room. And if you're not familiar with a dark room because you're under the age of 35 and didn't have one in your high school, let me explain. When you develop film, you go into a room that essentially just has red lights. That's what bars look like now.
Big trays of water in them too.
Yeah, I never actually did anything in our dark room. I always thought the people that were using the dark room were pretty tight.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing to be able to say that you're doing, right? Also a little bit serial killery though, which is part of this aesthetic, because part of what people are liking about it is that it feels dangerous.
It does feel a little dangerous. It feels a little dangerous because you could be in someone's basement, because you could just be like, I don't know, just in a dark bar in a dark alley.
Yeah, things are just confusing in all this red light too, right? Like the server's about to bring out your plate of burrata and it's just going to look super pink.
I know. Maybe this is a good way of like masking food that's gone a little bit bad. Like you can't tell if your salmon is bunk or not because like you're just in this like really red room.
Yeah. Is this salmon just like hyper, is it radioactive, or am I just eating in a restaurant with a darkroom-core aesthetic?
Nick Mathers, who owns hospitality company that manages this restaurant that they're talking about, I think the Rouge Room, he said that diners, quote, love the whole energy of the room. They just call it a vibe.
I think I laughed out loud when I read that. That's like we're in a bad place in culture when like the best thing that somebody can say about a restaurant or a room or an aesthetic or a bar is that it's a vibe.
Oh yeah,
it's just a vibe.
Oh dude, it's just a whole vibe.
It's a whole vibe.
I'm guilty of it. I probably did it already today on this episode. I mean, I think that there is something to this. I think dive bars are really having a moment right now overall. Yeah. I think that people are liking, like, this is almost maybe a more dangerous version of the night lux aesthetic. Like, like this just feels like a little more, I'm ready to go do something a little wild, as opposed to night lux was just kind of like, I'm eating a really overpriced meal. Yeah. I don't know.
This is like you might try to go home with somebody that has like a sex dungeon.
Like a tattoo that you would never imagine, like that you cannot take home to your parents.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about this overall. Like, I feel like I'm too old to be hanging out in places that have this like lighting, but that's just a personal thing.
It seems. I mean, I like it for bars. I like where you're going, with the more like kind of dive bar aesthetic, or just kind of like, the red carpets on the floor, red lighting on the walls. It's kind of giving the greatest showman a little bit, starring Hugh Jackman. It's got like a little bit of like a carnival vibe. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the movie Babylon. I don't think many people saw it, but it was I quite liked it. And there's a whole scene where Tobey Maguire is like this weird little LA guy, and he takes you on like a tour of what's essentially a 1920s LA haunted house. And that's also kind of what this is reminding me of. So it is, it's cool. It's like red light district. It's it's kind of sexy. It's a little old world. The one thing, my only pushback is kind of like we said up top. I don't know if I want to eat dinner under a bunch of red light.
I don't think I do either.
I think I kind of need to be able to see what the food looks like.
Yeah, I think I just want to like get drunk under the red lights.
Yeah.
What I'm about to say is pretty insufferable.
Okay.
From an aesthetic standpoint, like, one of the tough parts about this Darkroom-core is that like I can't throw a Darkroom-core photo on my grid. Like, it's going to throw off the entire vibe of my grid, and it's going to be like sticking out like a sore thumb. So it's going to be stories only if I'm just, having a night out at one of these places. Yeah. And so it's tough. Like, I just don't really know. I'm just going to have to workshop it. I think we need to go somewhere with some red lights and take some photos and just see what we need to do.
Yeah, I was trying to, the only place that I can really think of Austin-wise right now is, what is it called? Like Redheaded Stepchild?
Yeah.
With their floppy disk repair
spot. Yeah.
I feel like that's got a lot of the...
Are they the same thing?
I think those are the same thing.
I always mix them up and then I get corrected by someone younger than me, like Randy.
Redheaded Stepchild, and the sign outside says floppy disk repair.
Okay. Can you imagine if you had a floppy disk that needed repair and you went up there and they told you they couldn't do it because it was a bar? Wouldn't you just be like devastated?
Somebody surely has done that as a gag, right?
Some like Austin tech guy that like does not go out. He's just trying.
You think we have anybody listening to the podcast that doesn't know what a floppy disk is?
Yeah. We asked intern Callie during her time here if she was aware of what a floppy disk was, and I think she was in the negative there. She had no clue what we were talking about.
Okay.
Did you ever have a zip disk?
Yes, I did.
I thought I was so high tech when I got my zip disk and I
Yeah.
put like MP3s on it.
Oh, you could have so much on a zip disk.
So much on a zip disk. Crazy amounts. We do have a bunch of listener questions today, but with the start of the EPL season upon us, it's beginning on Friday. I personally cannot wait. It's my favorite time of year because Manchester United is still in the title race, which is always super fun. We've got several Ladcore things that I think we need to confront right now.
Wait,
Barrett.
how are they on the path to the title if the season just started?
Because they're not in like sixth, back by like 10 points yet.
How many matches have there been?
0.
Oh, okay.
We're starting Friday.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. Everyone's tied for first.
You're just saying, okay, right.
We're also
right,
everyone's also
yes.
tied for relegation right now.
So everybody is in the mix.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the beginning of a season.
I've been on a tear lately, just taking in all the new jerseys coming out, of which we could probably do it. We could have done an entire like special episode about all the different kits that have been dropping, but instead I think we're just going to single out a few things that are just pretty, cool looking. Where do you want to start here, Barrett?
I think because we launched with the EPL, we should start with the Man U kit.
Okay. Last night, Manchester United put out something on Instagram that was club legend Roy Keane exiting a tunnel and kind of being a little ambiguous about what was going on. And people were theorizing that because he had never worked with the team before or with these owners before, that maybe they were selling the club. People were just wondering if he was going to start working for the club in some kind of official capacity. No, my friends. The best case scenario has come about. We got some sick new kits. Okay. And what we got today is something that Man U has not done in a long time, which is a very like simplified, dumbed down, just clean white kit. It's giving Real Madrid, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. So there's one thing that stands out to me, and maybe I'm just a dolt that hasn't been paying attention. But isn't this also a brand switch up?
In terms of what?
Has Man U been Adidas for a while now?
They've been it for a little bit now. Yeah.
Okay. Now that I say that, I already know I sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
Because your black crew is like is a 3 stripes thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is honestly just better looking than the stuff that they've been doing.
Maybe is it that they've gone back to this 2000s Adidas logo?
Maybe. They've also gotten rid of.
I think that might be what is like standing out to me. Is it's specifically that logo, which I remember very, very fondly because that is like the Adidas logo of my childhood. And it looked very new to me. It looked very catching.
Yeah, and then they also took off like the badge and just put the little red devil there, which is a huge simplification off of the old jerseys, which were just really not that great. But I mean, this is the cleanest jersey they've put out in forever, and so I'm just all in. I'm very happy about this. I'm probably gonna get one, and I'm probably gonna get a matching one for my son.
Yeah. So it's a good kit. I do like it. I like the simplicity of it all. It's all good, but you do have to be a little bit disappointed that Pirelli isn't your sponsor.
Are we talking about the Randy? Do you have your hand ready? Are we talking about the Leon Dor drop on Ame Leon Dor?
Yeah. We are because they within that drop they included what might be one of the top 3, top 5 best kits of all time, best shirts of all time, which is the vintage Umbro Inter jersey, where like you just when we talked with Ruiz a few months back about like the marriage of sponsor and team. Mm-hmm. There's nothing better than the Pirelli with the blue and black inner kits.
There's really not. Like that was always classic, and it's a shame that it's not still a thing. And instead, they had like a crypto sponsor last year, and it was just depressing.
Right. And like
Intercoin.
The logos of the 90s, like these, man, like these were art unto themselves, right?
Sick.
And
Sick.
now
this also has the collar.
It's just a little sadder that instead you get Team Viewer in a sans serif font.
It's always going to really kill me inside that Team Viewer is on the front of these jerseys.
Yeah.
It's at least an upgrade from the way that the Team Viewer logo looked last season, but most people would probably not even be able to notice the difference. And that's sad.
At least you're getting a super clean, like overlapped collar with a little nice white piping on it. That's super nice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did. These ALD vintage drops are always crazy to me because stuff is selling out in like 5 minutes. And it's like, how does anybody even have time to like see if something's their size?
You could just,
You know,
I don't know, like go on a vintage site and find this stuff too.
probably so.
Like this stuff isn't that hard to find.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be photographed nicely and come from your favorite website, ameliandor.com.
Do you think they put it in like an ALD bag like they do like the t-shirts and stuff? Or do you think you just get like a box in the mail with like a t-shirt in
I
it?
think I've seen somebody post like a brief unboxing of one of the vintage stuff, and it is packaged real nice.
Okay. Okay.
Comes in like it's full. It's got some nice paper on top of it and like a little card that says it's from the Leon Dor vintage drop or what have you. So they try to give you a little something.
I'm still in the Leon Dor days of old where I'm shaking the box hoping that a sticker falls out, but they haven't done that in probably 5 years. It's a little sad. It's a little sad.
But yeah, I think, talking kits, talking the inner shirt being part of the Leon Dor drop. Streetwear brands, man, they're continuing to try, I think with more and more success, to like make the soccer shirt a piece of the fashion zeitgeist.
They're finally using their brain, and they're finally taking iconic either jerseys or they're taking iconic warm-ups and they're just mimicking those and doing it in their own style. That's what people want. They want something that looks like something that was iconic in the past and that people see and they think of. If you showed me a little thumbnail of this Palace jersey, I would tell you that it was either Real Madrid's warm-up from like the Galactico days, or that it is a Argentina warm up from
looks
2000.
very similar to some Argentina stuff.
And so it drives me, it drove me insane when these companies would just make these really bad looking kits that had no like inspiration from anywhere other than like, oh, we want this.
No like reference point. No real reference point.
And these are so much better. We have the Stussy one that is just kind of a take on the 90s, I think 1994 World Cup US men's national team.
Yeah, and I believe if the comments are correct that this is actually this is from 2015.
Oh, really? So this is old.
So I believe that this is old, but but it feels very relevant.
I would buy this today if they release this on their website and it was not sold out already, which it would be.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for this season, Barrett. I'm really excited to get my kits back on. I feel like I'm shifting out of summer mode, and I'm shifting into like sit on the couch and watch soccer all the time mode.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're shifting into soup mode.
No, I will be in soup mode, but I need it to be under 100 degrees. But right now I'd be in gazpacho mode.
Right.
Not a good mode to be in.
Yeah. Nobody really likes gazpacho.
No. Anytime I go to the store and I see that they have a cold soup available, I'm just like, well, this is like a smoothie.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $7.99 for a medium container of this at Central Market.
I was disappointed to learn that the Stussy one was vintage, and here's why. Because speaking of like how to make this work, if it's something you want to try to incorporate into your wardrobe, right? Two things I love about this one that I think make it a little bit more workable. One is the collar, which you mentioned on the vintage Inter jersey as well. And two, I really like the idea of a long sleeve one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It feels a little less performance-y, a little bit less athletic, and more like a rugby kind of situation. Yeah. And it just feels like a little bit easier to kind of casually pull off and not look like you're on your way to a match.
If I am going to buy a stylish jersey at this point, I will always try to get something long sleeve before I get something short sleeve for that exact reason. Austin FC, it doesn't have a long sleeve version of their jerseys because it's constantly hot, and that's understandable. If they would have had a long sleeve version, I probably would have gotten that before getting a short sleeve version. But
maybe they're just holding that in the bag for like, I don't know.
When we get our Messi.
Yes.
Can't wait till
when we sign
Messi.
Mbappe.
Yeah, we get a Messi, right? Like it's working for Inter Miami. We should get one too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we can dude. If Mbappe came to Austin, like I don't even know what I would be the happiest person on planet Earth. I would just be like, okay.
I saw a rumor on the Grom that they're talking with MLS now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's rumors swirling about a lot of players in MLS. I think they're seeing the Messi experiment and they're like, hold on.
Yeah.
People are really enjoying this right now.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Plus, all these guys, I'm pretty sure that, it's not unspoken or unwritten, but pretty sure that whatever team they join, they basically are getting a share of ownership.
Yeah.
Which is a nice, that's like the only way that you can make up.
You got to get it while they're getting
them
good.
a $700 million contract like the Saudis are doing. It's like, hey, this could be worth a couple billion. You never know.
I think we need, like Neymar, if you're listening, come over to Austin FC. We can grow the legend together. We can be Verde. McConaughey, we got McConaughey.
I know. Don't you want to hang out with McConaughey?
Do you think Neymar's like, dude, I would go to Austin FC. I just don't want to hang out with McConaughey all the time.
That's all. Yeah, that's possible.
He's
That's
like, dude,
possible.
this McConaughey guy just always is hitting me up. Like, come over here. Come over here.
Okay. Here's my pitch for the footy stars coming over to Austin and not choosing one of the major markets.
Okay.
Nobody else to compete with.
No.
You go to LA, that's LeBron's town, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
Like Miami, like Messi can be the guy right there, but like that's also, guess who else is there? Himmy Butler.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's him.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Jimmy to contend with, right?
Who's he dating recently?
Famously he dated Selena Gomez, but I don't think that was the most recent one.
He was rumored recently.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if someone comes to Austin,
he's a commodity. He's a commodity right now. So, you know, that's the pitch is that if you come to Austin,
Shakira.
Oh yeah, that's right. you automatically usurp everybody, including even, you know, the McConaughey man himself, I would say.
Yeah, you would have to.
So,
like it would just be natural.
You're the king of the hottest city, both literally and metaphorically, just immediately.
I'll take anyone.
So
we need one Eurostar. We don't have any right now.
Yeah.
I have a lot of these other teams have them. We need them. Well, on our Instagram, if you're a follower, you know that we solicited some listener questions from you guys the other day. And Barrett was kind enough to kind of combine these, mix and match them so that we could have some certain areas that we could hit. Where would you like to start, Barrett?
Let's start with some formal wear. And I apologize. Instagram used to let you, or at least intuitively let you look back at your old question stories and see all of the questions. But I couldn't figure out how to get back to that page today, so I'm not going to be able to credit these questions to our lovely listeners. But you'll know it when you hear it, and we very much appreciate everybody that wrote in and gave us some good prompts, good questions. There's a lot of people asking for fall content, fall trend watch, all that type of thing. As Will just said, we're on our 32nd or 33rd day of triple digit heat. So it's just not time yet, but it is coming soon. We will get there in due time, very shortly. But today, yeah, let's start with some, you know, my first kind of my grouping here is formal wear, and I'm going to throw it to you because we're going to start with suiting. You just were recently on a lovely looking Michigan trip.
I was
honestly not sure how you came back from that.
Didn't want to.
Had to be tough to get off that plane and just get inundated with the blanket of heat.
It's been a while since I've had a vacation where I laid in bed on the final day and thought to myself, like, what if I just didn't go back somewhere?
Like you didn't have that last day sense of like, I'm ready to get home.
Yeah. It was like, do I need the stuff in my apartment or do I like, you know, highs of 59 at night right now more?
Yeah. So you did a little stay at the Grand Hotel.
Yes.
So I want you to just tell us a little bit about what the Grand Hotel is, what its dress code requirements are, how you kind of kitted yourself out, and maybe what else you saw there, and what you would suggest to a listener that's maybe staying there very soon.
The Grand Hotel is an historic hotel in northern Michigan on Mackinac Island, an island that is very old-fashioned. There are no cars on the island outside of official, you know, government vehicles. Maybe police. Like there's probably like one police car and like whatever.
You take a ferry to get over there.
You take a ferry to get over there. Please take Shepler's Mackinac Island Ferry, as that is who I ride for, both personally and professionally. And you go over. I had never stayed at the Grand before. It's a very historic and iconic hotel, and it's very old-fashioned. It's got some really interesting design that has really. What I learned is that it's not very updated when it comes to those design elements. Like these are authentically old.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it's dingy or gross inside. It just feels old and historic.
Kind of like in a like country club way is kind of the vibe it was giving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one that they almost like enjoy like not updating it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so we had never stayed there before. And with Sally being pregnant, we figured it would be a good place to have a night away from my family and do a little baby moon. And so we went, and I kind of forgot up until the week before we were going that they do have a dress code. You have to wear a jacket after, I believe, 6 p.m. And so you really do have to kind of think about what you're going to wear, whether you're eating in the main dining room, one of the restaurants on the premises. We had a reservation at a very cool restaurant called The Woods that you have to take a horse and buggy to through these awesome woods. I mean, it's so cool. And then you get up there and you feel like you're just in the middle of nowhere, and you are at this crazy restaurant, and everything there kind of does skew preppy. Northern Michigan is very preppy. Every single guy at the pool with their kids was wearing Vineyard Vines swimsuit, like swim trunks. I honestly felt like an outsider not wearing something with Vineyard Vines on it. To anyone in Texas who's like, who wears all this Vineyard Vines? The people up north. And so getting dressed for it, I wore a suit. My buddy Brady, friend of the pod, attendee of the infamous Nordstrom live episode. He also wore a suit. I would say that most people that go there usually wear maybe just a sport coat.
Okay.
Or a blazer. I think that's totally appropriate. I think that works. And I think that you fit in no matter what. But the one thing that I knew going in was that this is a colorful place. This isn't not like some buttoned up place. People are all on vacation. It's brightly colored everywhere. Why not have a little fun? And so I went a little crazy. I went into my dad's closet and I got a zany tie. I got a bright green tie with some martinis on it, some shakers, some everything. And I had a little fun with it. And I thought I would maybe feel a little uncomfortable. I didn't at all. There were so many other people wearing the similar things and they weren't thinking twice about it. I was the one overthinking wearing a tie that was louder than what I'm comfortable with. But it's a cool place. I mean, they will kick you off the porch if you're sitting there not wearing a coat at 6 p.m. I mean, you'll just get, hey.
What if they see you in the hallway? You just like if you step out of your room post 6 p.m., you got to have like a coat on. They see you, they fine you if you don't.
They will just tell you like you need to go to your room and get a coat.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you're not staying there, they will just call you out. There's a woman when we were leaving. There's a woman trying to enter the hotel, and one of the people working at the hotel said, "Ma'am, are you staying with us?" And she said, "Yes, I am," because you're not supposed to actually enter the hotel without staying there. And the person working said, "May I see your room key briefly? Just, pull it out." And she goes, "No, I don't have it on me." And the lady goes, "Well, how are you going to get into your room if you don't have your room key?" And I've never seen someone freeze in that kind of situation and just walk away and just with her tail between her legs out of there.
Okay.
But it's a cool experience. I don't really truly understand how people can stay there for more than a couple nights because like, it just kind of feels like a little too picturesque and like, I don't know. Cookie cutter and historic. You kind of just think about how old these things are. But it was really fun to get dressed up and do something because Northern Michigan is pretty casual overall.
Yeah, the tie was cool, by the way. It really just kind of like I think you kind of cemented something I already had been feeling, which is that like the 1.5 inch, 2 inch tie, it's just gone right now. Like we're going back to the 3 inch.
Dude, it felt great. It felt great.
It's really it's got like an ostentatiousness about it that I kind of like.
Yeah.
Like a foppiness that's almost kind of in your face.
I've only worn a tie at the Grand Hotel one other time in my life, and I feel like I should be embarrassed. Actually, will you scroll up? This is very relevant. The tie that I wore the first time I ever went to the Grand Hotel for anything looked exactly like the the comforter right there. Yes, it was a Lily Pulitzer printed tie that I got from my buddy. I didn't even know they made Lily Pulitzer ties. I think he just somehow had one, and I was like, I need to wear this to the Grand Hotel, and it worked.
Yeah.
Now that I've done that, like, I'm not going to wear like crazy ties all the time, but I'm not going to be averse to it. I definitely am going to go buy a tie that I don't have to go steal from my dad's bedroom at this point.
Yeah.
So
you liked going suit?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't mind
over sport coat.
I just don't have a good sport coat at this point.
You know what the problem with the sport coat is for me is that you also need a set of trousers.
A great set of trousers
that like match it in either casualness or formality.
It's way more difficult than
tough.
A suit.
Like, you don't want to put on like. You can't just throw on like a really sharp navy blazer with like, a pair of Dockers.
I've realized that
like you need you have to make sure those two things match up if you're going sport coat.
They have to complement. Yeah. I think it's almost it's a way more difficult thing to navigate than just getting a suit.
Right.
And I think part of the reason I don't gravitate, I think Derek Guy is very smart on Twitter. I think he's like, it's very impressive what he can put into a thread and make us actually learn something. Something that I really don't care about in style and I don't really do a good job with is formal wear, is the kind of suiting. Like that's just never been my number one thing.
Same.
And so it's hard for me to speak on it in a way that someone like him could because he is so well versed. I even look at photos sometimes because he will call out politicians. I mean, he definitely has a certain politicians he will call out.
Yeah.
But he'll call them out for their tailoring. And like when I look at photos of myself in a suit, I'm like, man, would he roast me? Like, would he roast me for this right now? And it's like, I don't know. And I also don't know if I care at this point.
Yeah, I don't think he would. I think mostly what he is drawn to is like things that lack intention, right? That did not have anything done to them, basically.
Yes.
And you're getting stuff tailored. You're making sure things fit. So, so I also want to tell a story. We're going to crank it up a notch with the formal wear and go full on tuxedos. And as I've talked about before, I've been doing a little shopping for a tuxedo myself. I was in Houston, let's see, a couple weekends ago, to hit a few places that I don't have access to here in Austin. And one of the places that was really, really a long shot, really a reach, something I knew was, pretty much straight up was going to be out of my price range, but I needed to go see it for myself, and I needed to put it on and just see what happened. And that was I needed
say the words.
I needed to go put on the Tom Ford.
Let's
tuxedo.
go. I was hoping you were going to say that.
And Will, something happened to me in the Tom Ford store.
You put your credit card down, and now your wedding budget went up by 25%.
Yeah, now I don't have a budget for a wedding. Something happened to me that I really like. I don't think it's ever happened to me in quite the same way as it did in the Tom Ford store, which was beautiful and very nice, and the staff was attentive and helpful and great to work with. But the Tom Ford tuxedo and shirt, for that matter, they rejected me, Will. And I'm not sure if you've ever had an article of clothing reject you, but it's you know it when it happens, and it was discouraging, I will say, because generally I put stuff on and I'm like, okay, I could see how I can make this work. I feel it. Maybe I need a size up or a size down. But specifically what was happening with the Tom Ford is, and let me give a little bit of context first. You think about a designer like Eddie Slimane, who was at Dior and then Saint Laurent and is now at Celine. And he is like known for, pencil thin, super sharp, slim tailoring. Like you need to be Brady's size. You need to be 6 feet and like 150 to pull off and carry off his cut of suits.
Brady's the guy in the Instagram that I posted, by the way. So if you want to go see Brady's, he was also a model.
Brady also originated the white Negroni for us this summer.
He did.
I gotta say,
Brady.
So,
we might just need to have him on the pod.
Yeah.
We'll get him down to Austin.
He's been a fixture this summer. But so you go into those brands or those shops and you kind of know what to expect. But with Tom Ford, I always thought that it was a little bit more voluminous. It had like a little bit more room, a little bit more of like a V cut with wider shoulders. And so I was really, really surprised that when I put on I was basically very, very in between sizes at Tom Ford. My 46 or 36 is my usual size, and it was too big for me. And so I went down to the 44, and it was just like hugging me to the point of no return, right?
Were you relieved?
I was relieved.
I was gonna say, like, that's so, like, imagine, like, I did this with sunglasses recently. I listed out all the stores and I went to them in ascending order of price. And I went to 4 stores before I went to Garrett Light. And when I went into Garrett Light, those sunglasses fit me perfectly, and I was just like, "Well, here I am. I'm just this is why they cost a lot more, because they fit perfect."
To be completely honest, yes, that was actually a huge relief that I didn't even have to think about like trying to figure that all out and feeling, and being disappointed when I inevitably couldn't. But it was and then like after the suit didn't quite work and didn't really feel totally right. It's beautiful, by the way, and the details. You want to talk details? I won't bore you with them all right now, but
bore me.
They think about everything. Everything is just like,
I need to go in.
It's just so considered. And there's stuff that I never even would have thought of, like on like a pair of suit trousers or the satin cuffs on the tuxedo jacket. Just like it's the works. You're getting what you pay for in a lot of those.
Do you think
regards.
They just have like a details guy? It's just like, hey,
I think they do.
Cook right now.
But after the suit wasn't working, I was like, well, what if I go shirt? Shirt's still gorgeous. I could still have the label in the back of something that I wear on my wedding day. And once again, it was like my usual shirt size. The shoulders are off of my shoulders, sizing down, and it's just like I can't even button the neck. So I walked out of there, and now I know that the Tom Ford suits, they were not built for me. They kicked me out of the store.
I mean, from a pricing standpoint, it's got to be a huge relief.
Yes,
but it's got to be really hard to deal with the knowledge that you might just not be a Tom Ford guy.
I'm just not a Tom Ford guy.
That's tough.
Yeah. So
I'll probably never find out. unless a big bag is dropped on me, I'm probably not going to find out. Yeah. But until then, I will operate like I could be.
Yeah. And it's nice to know that you could be. But so we did get a question about black tie do's and don'ts, and so I wanted to pick your brain, see if you had see if you have anything that stands out to you, as far as like things you either like or don't like when it comes to getting dressed up in a tuxedo.
I've come up with 2 do's and 2 don'ts, and some of these might be a little bit related. When it comes to black tie, I am not a snob about it because I know that it's tough for some people. A lot of people have to rent their tuxedos, which they don't want to do because they don't want to invest in a nice one. A lot of people buy a cheap tuxedo or do whatever because they only wear it so many times, and I'm never going to knock anyone for doing either of those things. I wanted to wear a tuxedo at my wedding, and so I bought my own, and I have relatively maintained a similar build to when I got married. If anything, it's a little larger. It's a little more voluminous on me, which is not a bad thing right now.
That's right. Yep.
But I always like to go a little more casual with pretty much everything. And I'm not saying to go super casual, but I am saying that you need to make it your own. And so, like, one of the things that you really need to do is add some personal flair. I don't know what that will be, but you need to think of some details for yourself to get excited about this. Whether it's the cummerbund, whether it is the cufflinks that you're wearing, whether it's maybe a little different bow tie, or you just have a detail that might be just the shirt, whether it's a flat shirt, whether it's got some type of fabric to it. I just think making it your own and adding some personal flair will make you a lot more confident in a situation where it already makes you feel confident. And that's what I like about it. I don't always love like outlandish things. Like, I'm not saying that because you graduated from UT, you need to have a UT cummerbund.
Sure,
like
sure.
That's a little over the top for me, unless you're maybe going to a UT event. But I think that there is a little space for little tiny details. I could never be a details guy at Tom Ford. I don't have it like that. But I do think that there is room for that. And so do try to find something that can get you excited about wearing something, even if you are renting it or you bought something a little less expensive, because you will feel a little better about it.
Yeah. I'm with you on all that. And it's tough. It's a lot like when we try to talk about business casual, where it's a uniform for a reason. You know what I mean? And that is because that's almost like the intention of it is that it takes away some of the personality and kind of like evens everything out, and everybody looks very, very uniform and like they're attending the same event. But it's always nice to find things that like feel individual or that you've managed to kind of swerve in one direction or the other. As far as like the, kind of old head formal rules of putting on evening wear, there's a couple things that I like to mention. One of these I think we may have touched on a few months ago, but if you're doing studs in a tuxedo shirt, those studs inevitably stop about halfway down.
Yeah.
And so if you're using the studs, you gotta cover up the bottom of the shirt with something.
That was my second don't.
Either the vest or the cummerbund.
My don't was, don't try to dress it down and make it incomplete.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, like you just said, there's a lot of things that you have to do when you're wearing a tuxedo. And sometimes it feels over the top. It feels unnecessary. It just feels like weird. But if you try to dress it down and skip one of those things, you end up looking like you forgot something.
Yep.
You end up looking like you're like, oh, I didn't pack my cummerbund.
Right.
And it feels ridiculous to wear a cummerbund sometimes. But what is even more ridiculous is when you go to a black tie event and you look around and you're not wearing suspenders and you're not wearing a cummerbund and you're missing buttons and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the consistency here is kind of like a team mentality. Like you feel like incomplete, and that's not a good feeling.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go back to you. What's another one of your? What's your other don't?
My other don't was don't overthink it. It's just a dressy occasion where most people will be like drunk and stuff. So like you don't have to have the nicest cufflinks. You don't have to have whatever. Like, as long as it's stuff that you like or that you're comfortable with, it's not a big deal. But you don't have to overthink it all. Just do what the requirements of black tie are. And if you can find places to have fun, go do that.
Yeah.
But I used to overthink it all the time and be like, I don't know, like, should I wear suspenders? Should I do this? Should I do this? And I just found myself like not really having fun with it when I think black tie weddings are like the greatest. It's
Yeah. Here's another don't for you that I think is part of like that old kind of like gentleman's handbook type stuff. Maybe it's just kind of old wives' tale, but I really like the thought behind it. Don't wear a watch.
Oh, okay. What is this?
Yeah. So the thought, the thinking behind this, the train of thought behind this is that if you're wearing a tuxedo, it is for a party, a gala, an event, somewhere where you are having fun and engaging with people. And a watch means that that you need to know what time it is.
Okay.
Essentially.
Okay.
And so not wearing a watch is saying like, I don't need to know what time it is, basically.
I love that.
And so that's something that I've always kind of, taken to heart is even if you've got something really sleek and simple with like a black leather strap, it's just like, you don't need it. We're here to have a good time. We're here to party till however late we want to. And I don't need to look at the time.
Can you hit him with that pocket watch?
Oh, well, of course you can hit him with that pocket watch. No,
Randy, do you own a pocket watch?
Yep. It doesn't work anymore.
No, I think I think it counts for all strictly time telling devices. You can just leave all those in the hotel room.
Don't wear an Apple Watch, please.
And definitely no Apple
Don't
Watch.
wear a digital watch.
Take that.
Take your Garmin off. Take your Apple Watch off. Take
Yes.
your Whoop band off. Like I know you want to see your strain score after hitting the dance floor, but like you just don't need to. Can I offer a do?
Please.
Get your own shoes. Getting your own shoes is a way to have comfortability, which in a tuxedo is always important. Getting your own shoes is a way to be a little more fun than just wearing the classic patent shoes. And having your own shoes means that you can break these in a little bit while still keeping them nice and always be comfortable. Rental shoes are the worst.
Yeah.
The one way that you can actually feel the most comfortable is by having some shoes that you believe in when you're actually wearing the tuxedo.
Yeah. And so my other one was basically going to be about shoes as well. And that's just to say these days, a lot of footwear is acceptable with tuxedos. And a lot of people wear black dress shoes with tuxedos, which is fine. Just make sure they are super polished up.
Yep.
Make them look as formal as possible, basically. You definitely don't have to go patent leather these days. And in fact, it's probably a little bit more, I think patent leather is kind of sneaking back in, but over the last decade, it's definitely been more modern to not wear patent leather footwear. So, but just make sure they're looking super sharp and ready for a formal event. And the last thing that I've got on my formal wear notes is if you ever get invited to a black tie wedding and you don't have a tux and you don't want to rent, or if you get invited to a black tie optional wedding and you're not really sure what to do, like you don't want to match the groomsmen because you think they're going to be in tuxedos, but you're not sure just how formal it is. A look that I love is a dark suit with a black tie. And you are thereby fulfilling the requirements of a black tie wedding.
Yeah.
Because you are wearing a black tie.
Yeah.
And I know I'm twisting the meaning of it there. But if you have like a charcoal gray or even a navy suit, just pair it down with a white shirt and a solid black tie, and you're going to look super sharp.
Yeah.
And like you belong either way, in either direction.
And I've never really judged anyone for doing that. Like, it's not something I'm going to judge someone for.
Yeah. You ready to move on?
Oh, I have one last do.
Yeah. Okay.
Get a pic and post it because someone once told me tux pics do numbers. And I don't think they're wrong. I think that is a very accurate assessment of the situation at hand.
How about some travel stuff, Will?
Let's talk travel. It's top of mind for me.
Yeah, you're a travel king.
I just got back and I have no travel plans at all for the foreseeable future.
Well, let's talk some travel.
I'm wanderlusting these days.
When you check a bag on a trip, and I know this is rare for you, but if you do, what are the essentials that you have to put in your carry-on?
I've thought about this a lot. I have a very honed in carry-on plan at this point. If I'm checking, if I'm not checking, then obviously it's just everything. I've separated it into 4 different categories. Okay. My electronics, just your distractions, the things that you need in there: headphones, laptop, iPad, chargers.
Yeah.
I bring my laptop for work purposes. I bring my iPad for leisure purposes. And obviously need chargers and noise canceling headphones for me are just non-negotiable on flights. If I forget my noise canceling headphones, you might see me at one of those vending machines in an airport buying obscenely priced over-ear noise canceling headphones. The next is personal items. I never use either of these, but they make me feel good about myself. I always pack like a little journal or notebook and a pen.
Okay.
I've been doing this for about a year now. I have not once taken it out on vacation. These are more the necessities these are my just in case things. Toiletries, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, and I have a little travel cologne that I like to travel with. I don't really know why. It's not like I'm going to cover that up and like if I smell bad after a flight, I'm not going to like just splash that on and call it a day. But for some reason, I just have carried it around.
Yeah.
And then the final thing, and I think this is what I've gotten pretty good at about remembering, is that I always try to bring a full change of clothes. I'm not saying it's like a nice change of clothes or anything like that, but just if something happens, I spill something, if like we hit a bump in the sky and my coffee spills on top of me, like I want to make sure that I don't have to walk around doing that all day.
Right.
If I am dressed down for a flight and I have a feeling that we're not gonna be able to go to the hotel right away or something like that, I always like to bring like a normal pair of pants and maybe like a sweater in case I get cold, or if I'm going to a restaurant after and I just need to quickly change in the airport or something. But having a change of clothes has been this security blanket that I rarely have to use, but I just love having that security.
Yeah, I think that you hit the essentials. I like to live dangerously. I like to go to darkroom-core bars, and I like to pack very little in my carry-on when I check a bag, which I do.
What is your
pretty often.
carry-on bag?
My carry-on bag when I check is a backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like the essentials that I think we're kind of getting after here is a toothbrush, toothpaste, and at least one pair of clean underwear.
Yes.
I generally eschew the full change of clothes, but I feel like that's probably because my travel demands rarely necessitate like needing clothes immediately when I arrive somewhere.
Mhm.
But I think that's the smart way to go if you have room.
I just never know. Like if I check a bag and then we are going somewhere and they lose my bag, I like to at least know that I have two different things I can wear
Right.
at any given moment.
Right.
If I have to go 24 hours without a bag, I can at least put on my dirty plain clothes to go get coffee in the morning before
Yeah.
going to the airport and picking up my bag wherever we are.
I like that you mentioned the pen and paper. You said you just started doing that recently.
I got a nice journal recently, and I was
Uh-huh.
journaling a lot in the beginning of the year. I was just mega anxious in the beginning of the year, and I was like, I need to figure out any way I can get around this. And journaling became my thing. I have this dream for myself where I'm so relaxed on vacation that I bust out this journal that does not have lines on the paper. And I just start drawing something. And then I just sit there and suddenly I'm the dude drawing in his journal, but I just don't do that. Like
Yeah.
I just have this idea that I would like to do that. It's embarrassing.
When I was growing up, my dad always in a carry-on had a legal pad and pens. And so that's something that I do that too. Like maybe not a legal pad these days. Maybe it's more of like a little journal or some type of moleskin or like even the notepad that you grab from like a hotel that you liked, right? But I rarely use it, just like you. But it's just something that that he always did, and I just always picked it up.
I think my dad did too.
And that's and that's in there too. Okay, you mentioned needing a couple of things in your bag, making sure you have at least two things to wear in the case that your bag does get lost, which I think is a good segue to another question. When you pack light, maybe a check-in only, maybe a carry-on only. How do you make sure that you have enough to still get some fits off?
I think you just have to plan. Like it's just this all comes down to planning.
Yeah.
This all comes down to honing in on exactly what you're going to do. You have to know the weather. You have to know the UV index that day. You have to know the wind. You got to know everything so that you can know that when you get dressed for that thing, like you're going to be dialed in for it.
It's optionality.
Yeah.
It's packing 2 pairs of pants and 2 pairs of shirts and knowing that that each pair of pants goes with each shirt. So that you don't have 2 outfits, you have 4 outfits.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then
when we went to San Francisco, I have a pair of pants that I absolutely love, but I didn't even bother bringing them. One, because they're heavy and I just didn't feel like carrying them around the entire time. But the main reason was because they didn't go with the other stuff that I had. They were green pants and I had a green shirt. I had whatever. And I was just like, I would love to wear these the entire trip. They just don't make sense with anything I'm wearing up top.
Yeah.
It was just upsetting.
The other thing that I think about with this question, somebody once asked me, I think this was back in the Club Cool era. They said like, what's a good way? I'm going to be at several Fashion Week events, or I'm packing for Fashion Week. Like, what's the right way to go into like kind of like stand out, or how do I approach dressing for Fashion Week? And one of my suggestions was pick something really bold, pick like a very noticeable piece, and wear it every day. You don't need 3 coats. You need one amazing coat, because then people will start picking that up and being like, there's that dude with the badass coat.
It's true.
And it's no matter what you wear under it, you're still, it's a new fit every day, even with the same coat on top, right?
Yeah.
And so even for like a tropical vacation, right? Like let's say like it gets down to the 60s in the evening. Bring one awesome cardigan.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to pack 2 or 3. And then that's like your showpiece for the week that you're mixing through what's underneath it, but you always have like the kind of the showstopper on top.
My favorite place to travel at this point, outside of going back to my hometown, is Laguna Beach. Part of the reason is the climate. I love what I can wear there, pants, sweaters, whatever. But I always know that like, okay, I'm going to bring this sweater and this is going to be my vacation sweater. And I'm going to wear this. Like if it gets cold out at night, I'm probably going to toss this on. And will usually pack a nicer sweater that I own just because I want to look good. I want to feel good. And when you're on vacation, I always try to pack a little nicer than what I would normally wear at home because you're on vacation. And if someone looks at you and says like, oh, he's a little overdressed, it's like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm on a vacation right now. It doesn't really matter. And yeah, I like there's only so much room for like a huge sweater. And so sometimes, and this actually applies to this question when you're trying to pack light but still get some fits off. Sometimes if there's something that I want to wear on vacation that does not fit in my suitcase, I will put it in my carry-on and be uncomfortable and make like my carry-on feel huge by stuffing it in there just because I don't want to find myself in a scenario where I'm like, damn it, I wish I would have brought this sweater. A prime example of this was on our last trip. I wanted to bring the Ame Leon d'Or, Randy. I wanted to bring the Ame Leon d'Or kind of eyelet knit sweater, but it's really heavy.
Yeah.
It's really like big and it's kind of a cocky sweater. But I still wanted to bring it because if I can't wear it in Northern Michigan, where else can I wear it?
Yeah.
And so I just shoved it into my backpack and
On your carry-on.
Put it in the carry-on,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just wore it.
Yeah.
And I ended up wearing it on the trip, and
Definitely
I was
have done
glad
this
that I did
before,
it
too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what type of souvenirs or mementos do you like to bring back with you from trips?
At this point in my life, not a lot.
Yeah.
At this point in my life, I don't do much. One thing I always do is I always steal a pen from any hotel we're staying at.
Okay,
And so
yeah.
I can always, we have a little
a good
pen
one.
holder in our place that I just do. It's free outside of what you're paying for the hotel.
To that end, I like to grab matches at any cool restaurant that offers them.
Yep. But for me, at this point, it's little trinkets places. I don't like going out and buying something crazy. If it's not like, I don't like going to a city and buying something that I can buy in Austin.
Right.
Like
right.
we have a lot of good stores here. I can probably just go buy certain things there. And so it always has to do with wherever we are. And like, if there's a cool hotel gift shop and they've got like a cool tote bag or something like that, I will do that.
Yeah, this is going to sound super generic too, and I've really only done this from like 2 places. But if a spot has just really simple, classic like white coffee mugs with a cool graphic on them, like that's always a good option. But grab 2 so that it's more of like a set instead of like a, you and your spouse or whoever can like both have the same kind of mug out. But yeah, I like the tote bag idea. I like coffee mugs, but yeah, I'm past buying the little like license plate keychains.
Yeah, you're not ripping shot glasses.
The shot
from the airport.
glasses, no, yeah.
I've got like the things that stick out in my recent memory that I've bought from a trip where I bought a robe from a hotel that we stayed at in London, and I loved buying that because it had their little emblem on it. I've worn it to pieces at this point, literally coming apart at the seams at this point. But I've loved it. I've truly loved having it. And we got a blanket from a hotel too. And that was kind of a cool thing. Like it was just like, oh, this is a really nice blanket. And then we saw it was for sale in their gift shop.
You know what we're gravitating towards is stuff that's actually usable.
Yeah.
Like
because we're getting old.
Right. And it's pieces that remind you of a trip or a place that you really liked when you went on and that you get to have like kind of as part of your daily life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's you get out of the shower, your favorite robe is from the hotel in the UK that you loved and
exactly.
Yeah, right.
And if the pen that I have from that hotel gets worn out, I'm probably going to find a little tiny insert and put it in there and reuse the thing. Another thing that I've actually stolen from hotels recently has been sunglasses cleaners, like the little whatever you'd call them,
like little microfiber.
Yeah. I've stayed at 2 hotels recently that has had their own microfiber things that have been in drawers in either in a drawer in the hotel, and I was like, "Ooh, that's nice." I had one hotel, and this is a nice touch. I left my sunglasses on the bedside table, and when I came back into the room after turn down service, they had cleaned my sunglasses and put their hotel branded microfiber thing underneath my sunglasses and left it for me. And I was just like, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to steal this.
That's class right there.
Class. It's such a nice touch.
Well, the last thing on the travel list here. Are Europe summers over?
What's up with this visa stuff?
What is going on with this?
Is it going to be hard to get a visa, or is it just kind of like a process you have to go through?
As it turns out, not much.
Okay.
This was the internet was kind of ablaze with concern trolling. Let's see, I think like last week or maybe even the week before at this point, because next year Europe will be requiring essentially some documentation via an app or an online portal that says you are coming and comes with a price, which I believe is €7. So this is
Okay.
yeah. Can you fit that into the Europe summer budget?
This is
I think you
still
can.
less annoying than filling out all the paperwork on the plane as you pull into Mexico. Like
Right.
I hate when they start handing that out and you're doing that. I would much rather have an app where I can just do this and pay $7.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of nothing. It basically means that Europe is going to start tracking people coming in and out and who is coming in and out, and that you have to have a slight bit of planning. This says it could take maybe 4 days to like get approved via the app or whatever. Once it finally does roll out, it's not rolled out yet, by the way.
So I don't need to go to like the English embassy before like
You do not. No, you don't have to. You don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops. It's just notable because basically it was just a free for all. Before this. And now they are concerned with global trafficking and terrorism and all this type of stuff is back in the forefront of people's minds. And so they are, it's called the ETIAS, if you need to know. And it's not even really a visa. It's basically just like a little certificate that says you have permission to enter the country for up to 180 days or something like that.
I think we can all deal with that.
Yeah.
I think we can.
So no need to worry. Europe summer is still on, still popping. You will be able to go to the Amalfi Coast in 2024 without much change.
Yeah. I almost said I'm unfortunately obligated to go back to Europe next summer, but I'm very fucking stoked that I'm obligated to go back.
Look, if I'm not obligated, I don't know if I'm getting over there.
I know. The obligation is amazing.
And I think that's how I know people go for 2-week trips or whatever. Everybody always has an obligation to go over there. Very, very, very rare do I encounter somebody that's just like, yeah, we're going to Europe for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you start like picking away at it, and then they kind of like casually acknowledge that, oh yeah, their buddy is getting married there. Mm-hmm. It's always something. There's always, that's you need the push, you need the excuse to get over there.
You do, and it's a good thing.
So
Barrett, I don't know if you were intentionally doing this or not, but I'm going to force you to answer this question. It was any travel must-haves, either fashion or function related. Do you have anything that you just like have to have in your DOP kit or in your bag at all that you just have to have in there for the comfort?
Well, I've already spoken to my relatively recent fandom of the turtle travel pillow.
Yes.
So I'm just using the platform once again to say that it was a great investment at like $45. And if you have trouble sleeping on planes, you should try one.
I will be getting one ahead of Europe 2024.
Yeah. So that's my new kind of like long haul must have. And as far as like that would be my function one. And then we kind of talked about the pen and paper, which I think is a fun one to have. Right now, it's the New York Times crossword app is another function one for me. Like that's just like that's my app right now. Is doing the minis and doing the crosswords and maybe a Sudoku if I get kind of bored. On the fashion side, nothing really comes to mind as like essentials beyond like obvious ones like sunglasses.
Yeah. I don't have anything like it's so dependent on where you're going.
Yeah.
I have 2 things on my must bring list. And these are 2 things that since I've started doing this, I have thanked myself so many times. The first one is collar stays. There's nothing worse than realizing you get somewhere and you have like your stuff from the dry cleaner and they took your collar stays out and you just don't have any. So every time I go to the dry cleaner, I think to myself, do I have a thing of collar stays in my DOP kit? If not, I need to get some right here. Or if I'm even like unsure, I will just do it, and that's where they live. They never leave. And a lot of hotels these days, they just don't have everything sometimes if you need it in the pinch. And the other thing that I always keep in there is a styptic pen for shaving.
Yeah.
Having one of those on vacation, because there's a lot, like, I don't know what this says about me, but sometimes when I'm shaving on vacation, I'm probably going to go to a nice event or something. Maybe it's a wedding, maybe it's just dinner, whatever. But if I'm shaving, I'm probably doing this before dinner, and I've probably had a couple drinks during the day. And my blood is probably a little thinned out from having a couple beers or something at the pool, and like, it'll bleed for 45 minutes. A styptic pen can just remove all that question mark from your entire life. And if you're a lady who's shaving your legs, styptic pen. I mean, I feel like legs don't bleed as much as like a guy's neck does.
Yeah.
But it's just a brutal thing to have to deal with on a vacation, especially if you're wearing like a nice shirt that you don't want to get something on. It's white, those are the 2 things that I will not leave town without.
So I'll add 2 more that are DOP kit related. One is pair of nail clippers.
Yes.
These serve double duty because even if you're like, oh, I'm not going to need to cut my nails on this trip, they are inevitably, you probably, or whoever you're traveling with has brought something new and they are going to need to cut tags off of something. And that is a great little clip to pull tags off something.
Great call.
I probably cut a tag off of an article of clothing every single trip I've been on.
Great call.
From either me or my significant other. And the other is you kind of mentioned this already as well, but like I don't wear fragrance regularly at home. You know, maybe for a night out or when the weather gets a little bit better, I'm more likely to do so. But I love having it on trips. It just makes me feel like I'm going the extra step to like look and feel and smell good.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I will even bring, like, I have a nice deodorant that I will bring only on vacation. Like that's my vacation deodorant.
Yeah.
But those are really just the times when it's just me and Sally and we're just like kind of trying to feel special and it's a special vacation. Like now, if I travel with the Fritz, man, I'm pretty much like, I'm just in dad mode. I'm wearing sneakers. I'm wearing like, I don't care about what I look like. It's just like.
You didn't even put deodorant on?
Yeah. It's like, none of this matters. I'm going to be sweating either way, chasing him like down the aisle of the airplane. So it doesn't really hold much weight. Is it lightning round time?
I think we might have to jump to wish list.
Okay.
We got a bunch of good questions.
Okay.
We could go a whole nother hour just based off this lightning round that I think we're going to have to omit.
I'm looking at this just to make sure that there aren't any I want to touch on as fast as possible.
Okay.
We can get around it. What's your favorite way to make coffee?
Well, I'm about to talk about it in my wish list.
Let's go.
Yeah. So we can.
Oh shit, Barrett.
We can kind of answer that one as we jump into the wish list. My favorite way to get I'm just gonna give you too much information. In the summer, right now, I'm a cold brew only guy, basically. Like I like if I'm ordering or buying coffee from somewhere, and I love cold brew. That's probably my favorite way to ingest coffee.
I do iced Americanos at the coffee shops.
Okay. At home, however, second thing, if it's nice weather, if it's cooler, if it's winter, and I have time, I love getting a pour over at a coffee shop as well. Yeah, get the special single origin down, let that hoe bloom, give me all the botanicals and the tasting notes. Yes, I have time for all that. But for the last 7 years at home, preparing it the night before, I have been using just like a classic Cuisinart 14 cup drip coffee maker. Now I did just in this last year graduate from being a GSG, which is a grocery store grinder. So I do have a nice grinder. And, the heating element of my Cuisinart recently decided to give out. And I've decided to make a massive upgrade. And that brings me to my wish list item today, which is an imminent cop. In fact, it just shipped today. And I've purchased myself a little splurgy coffee maker in the form of the Technivorm Mocha Master.
How did you get on the trail for this? Like, how did you pick up the scent for this?
Okay. In the world, like basically once I started looking into grinders, and people are big on like the Fellow grinder, and then they really like the brand Burrata, and there are a few others out there. But then it's just like one step away from like, okay, well, what's the best way to make your coffee? And everybody that's like, that's a real coffee snob is taking the time generally to like do some type of pour over in the morning.
Yeah.
I need to be able to hit a switch.
Yeah.
But I was ready to start getting a little bit more from, I'm buying nicer beans now since I'm grinding them at home. And I needed a step up, and I wanted something that, this is retail therapy, man. I want it to look awesome sitting on the counter. And
this hurts.
Basically, this is the Mocha Master has not really changed design since it released in 1974 or whatever. They're all handmade in the Netherlands. They come in incredible colors. I went with the juniper myself, but please look at the this Vespa adjacent pistachio color, which would just be phenomenal as well.
You're breaking my fucking heart right now, Barrett, because I just bought a new coffee machine that like I'm not super into. But like, and like, I could have just done this. Like, this is so much cooler than what I bought.
Now this is like this. Nobody needs this. When you're doing your research, what frequently pops up?
Yeah, I don't get to this level when I'm doing my research.
Yes, and like many like chefs or like people that know what they're talking about are like, you know what the best coffee maker is? The $20 Mr. Coffee.
Yeah.
You know, there's that whole kind of like lo-fi thought process as well.
Yeah,
but. Look, I won't lie to you. I had a little credit burning a hole in my pocket.
See, I'm an idiot. I went straight selfish mode of like, oh, I'm getting these expensive pieces of clothing. And you went like very practical. Like, this is going to enhance my life every single day.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that this just makes a great cup of joe. I hope next week or the week after I'm sitting down reporting to you that this has just changed my at-home coffee brewing routine, and that I'm just cranking out barista level, cuppas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm jealous, Barrett. Great work here. Great work. I'm switching my wish list item because my first wish list item was something that I was never going to actually purchase. It was just a joke, which was the new Loewe sneaker slides.
They're nice.
They are nice. I like them.
Yeah,
I wish I could wear those around the house all the time. I just don't have that kind of money on me. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm looking to make a shoe switch. Usually I like to buy one pair of nice, active sneakers, pair of active sneakers like every year. I'm not at that point yet. But something I've enjoyed doing in the last couple of years is buying a new pair of Vans. And they have a very easy custom Vans function on their site. And I just love doing it. I'm actually wearing my Vans right now that I'm probably just going to mimic. Randy saw me doing this before the episode, but these are kind of just cooked right now. They don't look great. And I have some red wine stains on them, but I'm going to do another custom pair of upgraded Vans for myself.
Wait, so I'm sorry. The ones you have on are custom.
They are custom.
Okay.
Yeah. I like having minimal, but I also love a gum sole. They don't have that many gum soles on the Vans site.
Got it.
They might have more, but as of 2 years ago, when I first started doing the yearly custom, they did not have a ton of gum options. And so what I like to do is I like to go through, and they have like a tan color or like an off-white color. And I just hit everything off-white, gum sole, whatever. I don't know what style I'm going to go with. I think I might go with a little more padding on these new ones because
Okay.
I want them to last a little longer
Yeah.
and be a little more comfortable. Whereas these are essentially just like glorified, like shitty boat shoes.
So you're saying you might go skate era instead of regular era?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I
mean, that way you can hit the longboard on them too, and not have any fear of being in improper footwear.
I almost broke my wrist recently when I decided to take the skateboard out of the back of my car and take a quick rip in some Birkenstock clogs. And it almost ended badly. And I ended up just walking back to the car with the board under my arm and just putting it back because I couldn't bear it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Sally would be super happy if you broke your wrist right now.
Especially, she'd be like, "What? Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Maybe I should put the skateboard away for a little bit. Maybe I should just use it for moving purposes." But yeah, I'm gonna get some custom Vans soon. Maybe I'll get a little crazy with it, but I'm probably just gonna go really boring and straightforward.
That might be the most dad thing you've ever said on the podcast is that you're using your skateboard for just moving purposes.
just like, hey, can we put this mattress on it and roll it to the elevator for moving? Oh, it's sad. Those are kind of sick.
Yeah,
Did you just cook with these real quick?
Yeah, I'm just cooking the kitchen, man.
So I thought a funny thing. I would take the right group of guys to accept this, but I was thinking a funny fantasy football punishment would just be like you have to do the random Vans creator and you have to wear those for like a month straight. Because like just click you can just click random at the top.
Where's random? Where's random?
Bottom. At the bottom, right underneath, it says randomize. Nope.
Right
here?
here?
Right there.
Randomize?
Yeah, so you can just click randomize and it just gives you...
Oh my God.
So like, wouldn't this be a funny, like you have to wear it for the month after you lose and you have to send receipts?
Yes. This is good.
I think it's funny.
This is a good one. And that's like $100, right?
Yeah. It's $100 thing.
That's a good punishment. That's a good, monetary punishment for losing your fantasy league.
Yeah. And at any point during
Not
the day,
crazy.
someone can text you and say, let me see your feet. And then you just have to show them your feet. That's
a good one, Will.
Yeah. I was enjoying that idea the other day when I was going through. I pressed random once and I was like, oh, these are god awful. But I'm impressed that they would at least they would allow you to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think that's all she wrote today, Barrett.
Okay.
We went long today. You love to see it. The boys are back in town. All right. Well, we will be in touch very soon. We might have some changes around the retail therapy universe. So stay in tune with those and just keep an eye out at retail.pod. Barrett, any closing thoughts?
No, another wonderful episode in the books. Yeah.
See you guys soon.